Hello and welcome back to another Star Wars discussion here on this channel, and today I'm going to be reviewing Battlefront II Inferno Squad. It came out, I think, 10 days ago, 11 days ago, something like that. Sorry it took me this long to read it. Honestly, it's a great book, but this is a spoiler review, so I urge you to, if you do not want to be spoiled on this book, don't watch this, but consider yourselves warned on all things spoilers for Battlefront II Inferno Squad, the book. But before I get into the actual review, I want to say don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button if you enjoy this and want to see more videos like this in the future. With that being said, let's get into the review. So, Battlefront II Inferno Squad. You guys, I am absolutely excited to talk about this book because it is one of my favorite, if not my favorite, of the new canon books. I think this is a very, very good book written by Christy Golden, who knows how to write Star Wars. And I did the Audible version, and this one is read by Janina Gavankar, who is she is actually the person you see in Battlefront 2, the story mode. She's the person that they mocapped. Like, she does everything for this character. She read this book. She's the voice of the same character, Iden Versio, in Battlefront 2, the video game, and they mocapped her face for that game also. So she's pretty much Iden Versio. So let's talk about the characters. You have your main characters here. You have Garrick Versio, who is Iden Versio's dad, who's an admiral in the Imperial Army or Navy. I think he's in the Imperial Navy. And this book takes place after, like, literally, it actually takes place at the beginning of the book. It takes place during the events of Episode 4. It literally, like, Iden Versio is a TIE fighter pilot who was there at the battle for the first Death Star. But you have Admiral Garrick Versio, who is promoted because of the fact that they lost a lot of their top brass on the first Death Star. And then you have Iden Versio, obviously the main character of this book, and then the other people of Inferno Squadron are Gideon Hask, who is kind of an old friend of Iden Versio, and you have Sen Marana, who is she's another agent of the Inferno Squad, but she has a perfect memory, so she remembers literally everything and perfectly. She remembers everything and perfectly, like Sherlock Holmes, but not as deductive, if you will. And then the last but not least is Del Miko, who is kind of their their mechanical expert, and their ship is named the Corvus, which that's a pretty cool name for a ship. And the main plot of this book is for Inferno Squadron to, at least the main plot of this book is one of their missions. The main plot is for Inferno Squadron to infiltrate and eliminate Saw Gerrera's partisans. They call them partisans or dreamers, but these are the people that you see in Rogue One on Scarif. Not on Scarif, but these are the people you see in Rogue One on Jeddah. Like, those people. If you read the Rebel Rising book, which is another novel that didn't just come out, but it's relatively recent, you have a lot more of the partisans, but it's pretty much Saw Gerrera had these followers of his, and some of them, the ones that are in this book, are obviously the ones that weren't on Jeddah with him at the time of Rogue One. And for the most part, this book takes place on Geosin, which is a planet which is really cool. It's a planet that has a very slow rotation. So at the time of this book, the planet is in its dark phase. So when the people of Inferno Squad when they infiltrate and they first get there, they have to use night vision goggles and things like that. And it's an amazing, like, the way this book opens up. It has Iden Versio in a TIE fighter at the battle for the first Death Star, and like, it's not like something to where it's like, oh, she's the main character and she obviously lives, so we're just gonna have her somehow get away from this. No, it's actually, if you watch episode 4, you have Darth Vader say, "Hey, tell the other Tie Fighters to back off. I'm gonna take the guys who are going through the trench run." And that's what Darth Vader says, more or less, in the events of episode 4 when you watch that movie. And so you have Iden Versio, who's like, "Hey," um, she's like taking down some rebel fighters, and then you have she gets those orders from Darth Vader. She's like, "Okay, I'm backing off," and it's cool because I'm pretty sure Iden Versio is the character who takes out Porkins. Yeah, in episode 4, which stinks, but I mean it stinks that Porkins is dead, but it's finally nice to put a face on that villain, if you will. It doesn't say that it was Porkins, but it implies that she destroyed a Y-wing in the battle, and so I like to think that it was Porkins. And so what you have is she backs off. This Death Star blows up, and what's really amazing is she thinks that she doesn't know it's the Death Star that blew up at first. She thought that she was too close to the Yavin 4. She thought that she was too close to it, and that she had been caught up in the blast that when the Death Star destroyed Yavin 4. And she's like, her TIE fighter's like going all wonky, and then it's amazing because the way it's read and the way it's written is like she looks up and she sees that it's Yavin 4 that is still there. It's still the planet. And so it's amazing when she pilots her TIE fighter. She's still getting control of it, but she like tries to pilot it, and she turns it to where she sees, oh my goodness, the Death Star is done. Like, the Death Star is blown up. She's like, oh man, I recognize that part. That is not that is not debris from a planet. That's debris from the Death Star. It's amazing the way this is written and read. And so that was just an amazing opening to show you, hey, this character is absolutely human, and Iden Versio has human emotions and everything like that. She's very sad that she's very sad that millions of people died on that Death Star, millions of people that she knew because she was stationed there, obviously. So it's a really different experience. Like, we had Lords of the Sith, which is a bad guy book, and then you have Tarkin also, which is a bad guy book. But in this book, more than either of those two books, you get great quote unquote bad guys who are absolutely right. Now let's talk about your Inferno Squadron. I think Inferno Squadron is written great. I mean, you have your characters of Inferno Squadron of Iden Versio being an amazing, powerful, very strong-willed person who is the leader of this group. You have Gideon Hask, who is a great pilot, who is just like, he's like their overall good soldier and things like that. And then you have Sin, who can memorize everything almost perfectly, and you have Del Miko, who's your mechanic, and he has the droid. If you look in the Star Wars Battlefront 2 or not posters but trailers, you'll see this droid like being on Iden Versio's back, and that droid is like it comes in very handy against the partisans because it helps with Inferno Squad's communication with each other. And you have them all being really good at infiltrating. You have Iden like constantly, she's under the microscope because these partisans know that Iden Versio was a former imperial, and it's I said imp because in the book they call her an imp. It's pretty funny. But you have the partisans knowing, because Iden Versio is a known imperial, and she was a good imperial. So the partisans are constantly being like, hey, if this one wasn't a good imperial, why would she just suddenly turn her back? Like, you've killed hundreds of people. Like, you're a good soldier. You've killed rebels. Why would you just turn your back on the empire? That doesn't seem like something that Iden Versio do. So Iden's constantly under the microscope as far as the partisan goes. Gideon and Dell are some of the, they actually get into the partisans relatively easily. Like there's never really parts in the book where you have those two being under the microscope or being questioned about what they are. And but Sen, man, and it's so unfortunate because like going back and looking at the trailers for Battlefront 2, you realize that there are only 3 of the Inferno Squadron there, and we find out that Sin gets killed by the partisans, and it's not even by the partisans. It's so, like this book is done so well to where you have the partisans. The partisans are talking because Sen, not only does she have a perfect memory, but she speaks like 20 something languages. And so what happens is you have 2 of the partisans speaking a language that Sen is not supposed to speak because Sen told him that she only spoke basic and Huttese. And so you have 2 of the partisans speaking a language that is not basic or Huttese, and then being Sen in a lapse of judgment, Sen in a lapse of brain power, we'll put it that way, interrupts them and speaks to them in that other language. I think it's Chandrillan. I think that's the language it was called, Chandrillan. And so they were like, hey, you told us you only knew 2 languages. And she was like, she knew she was caught. She was like, I picked it up easily. And it was kind of like, yeah, that stinks, but I understand why this character, I understand why the partisans are like, you know what? We got an imp. We got an imp, and we got to take care of this imp. And so what's amazing is the partisans are still putting Iden under the microscope, and they're like, hey, what if Sen is not working alone? And then they literally put a vibro blade in Iden's hand and tell her, torture her to find out what she knows. And if Iden doesn't do it, then the partisans know that Iden is in on it. So what happens is Iden like does her eyes to motion to Gideon and Dell like, hey, we got to stop this. And what ends up happening is Sen pushes herself into the vibro blade, and Sen pretty much kills herself, which is, it's crazy. Like, it's so good because this book is not afraid to pull punches. This book is like, this is how it is. Star Wars can have some absolutely gritty, some absolutely horrible things happen in Star Wars, as we know from the first, from episode 4, destroying an entire planet. That's not a nice thing to do. That is absolutely horrible. So you would have characters like this, Sen killing herself, really. Iden was holding the vibroblade. Sen, pretty much pushes herself into the vibroblade and is like, for the Empire or whatever. And I think that's what she said, for the Empire. And then you have, Iden being like, oh my goodness, like, ugh, that's rough. Like, and you totally know because the way it's written and the way it's read, it's absolutely understandable that this character of Iden Versio, she really grew to embrace sin. And I mean, all of them, all of Inferno Squad really grew to embrace each other and to treat each other like family, really. Even though they are military, there was just like, you being with these people so much and doing your work with these people and putting your life on the line with people will make it hard for you to let go of people, especially if it's kind of by your hand that they died. And that's something that this book does really well. It's not afraid to pull punches. It's not afraid to be real. Now, the last thing I want to talk about here for this book is Iden Versio's mother. Her name is Zihe, and oh man, this book is so good, you guys. This book, the way it does Iden Versio's mother, Zihe, what happens is, back before Iden got I'm pretty sure back before she got into the Imperial Academy, her mother left. Yeah, it was back when she was like 9. No, I want to say 9, but don't quote me on that. Back then, her mother left, and her mother and father actually got divorced. Garrick Versio and Zihei Versio got divorced, and so is it Zihei Versio? I don't know because I audibled it, so I didn't see it on the page, so I don't know. I just know her name is Zihei. Anyway, they got divorced, and her mother got pretty much like a terminal illness, like a Star Wars version of cancer, where it's incurable and it kind of kills you slowly. I mean, I know cancer doesn't kill you slowly, but she got a disease and it kills her slowly, and it killed her slowly and over a long period of time, but it's kind of like a definite death. You're definitely gonna die from it. And so what happens is her mother was also in the Empire, but she was an artist for the Empire. So her mother did a lot of her mother did a lot of art. Like she did the posters that you would see just like on any Imperial planet, Imperial run planet. And so yeah, that's pretty much what her mother did. But when she left, it was quiet down, dogs. It was she gets Iden Versio gets a hollow from her mother after she rescinds the empire, and it's so good. I mean, this book is written so well to where you totally feel so bad for Iden Versio because she has to look at her mother, who her mother likes the Empire just as much as Iden Versio does, but her mother doesn't know that Iden Versio is going undercover. So her mother thinks that Iden Versio turned her back on the Empire. And her mother says in that hollow that she cannot forgive Iden for that. And that's something that's like, oh man, rip out your heart, Kamila kind of stuff. It was so well done. And then you have Iden Versio hating the fact that she cannot contact her mother and tell her that she is going undercover and all that, and it's just like it eats away at Iden Versio. And even after the mission is all done, because after the partisans kill Sen, pretty much Inferno Squad goes through and kills all of the partisans, and it's an amazing scene. I mean, oh my goodness, it's like, I know the partisans are good guys, but after what they did in this book, I was ready for them to die. Anyway, after they kill all of the partisans and they get back home, they get back to Garrick Versio, what happens is Iden's like super mad that like she couldn't tell her mom that, hey, I still am for the Empire. I did not disappoint you. Like, you know, this isn't me. This is a character I'm playing. I'm faking it. This is not me. But she couldn't, and she's so mad at that. And she talks to Garrick Versio, her father, and it's something that is so good. I think Garrick Versio is a really cool side character to where, yes, he's like, you guys are now your squad, your Inferno Squad, and you guys are the best of the best and all this. But at the end of this book, you have Iden Versio talking to her father, and she's like, I just wish. And Iden Versio tells him, I just wish that my mom, Zihei didn't die thinking that I was a traitor to the Empire. And it's the best thing that I've read in Star Wars in a while, and it's just when Garrick Versio tells her she didn't. And it's so good. He doesn't say anything more than that because it's so powerful, because then you have Iden Versio in her mind. She says to herself in her mind, wow, my dad, who is Mr. Empire, even though he's divorced from her, he still broke the rules. He still pretty much put the mission that they had in jeopardy to tell Zihei that Iden was not a traitor. And that's something that's so powerful. I was like, oh my goodness, I was like, come on, you gotta shed a man tear for that, because you have, and then you have Item Versio getting so much, not gratification, but not like happiness, but gratification, to where she's just so thankful, and she's so it's a bittersweet moment, because she's very, very happy that her mom did not die thinking that Item Versio was a traitor to the Empire. But it's like, oh man, like, it's her mom, you don't want your mom to die. So it's just an amazing scene. And after that, Item Versio literally goes to her room, and she cries, and it's like, oh my goodness, because the book says that she hasn't shed a tear since the day that her mom left, when she left them. It's like, dude, that is so, like, oh man, I want this bad guy to survive Battlefront 2. I want her to live a long and happy life. I just, uh, I, I can't tell you how good this book is. Like, oh my goodness, my verdict is absolutely gonna be my verdict's gonna be my best verdict possible. But this book is like so good. I think that not only does it do justice in giving us an amazing lead character, but it gives us justice in showing us that people in the Empire are not all just stormtroopers or Palpatine. Like, people in the Empire are not, like, we did see that with Finn, but in this book, I think in this book even more than with Finn, where you get that Iden Versio, Gideon Haas, Sen Marana, Del Miko, and even Garrick Versio, and the mother Ziha. These people are actual people. They're people with feelings. They're actual people who mourn their dead. They're people who are not just evil villains. They're not all Palpatine. They're real. They're human people, and it's something that this book does so well. And it's something that I think just needed to happen. Like, showing us the perspective of the bad guy is so good. And especially when it's a bad guy that you can relate. Like, everybody, no matter how old you are, everybody has lost someone. And that's something that everybody can relate to. And the fact that they did that in this book, and the fact that they're not shy in showing you as the audience, hey, quote unquote bad guys are not bad people. Well, you guys know it. My verdict is going to be an absolutely must read. This is the best thing that has come from Star Wars in a while. Since Rogue One, in my opinion, I think Inferno Squad is the best story for Star Wars. Period. I think that it is one of my favorite books, if not my favorite book, that is new and that is canon from Star Wars. I think it's an amazing read. Also, I would suggest, dude, if you got the money, absolutely buy the Audible version of this book. Janina Gavankar she reads. She's a great reader. She knows the character. I mean, she is the character. Like I said that at the beginning, she is the character. There's no medium in which she does not know. She knows literally everything about this character. It's not just somebody reading a book. It's somebody reading their character. It's somebody giving you it's an absolute performance, and it's a great one at that. So yeah, I would say absolutely this is a must read. If you're a Star Wars fan, and if you're a book junkie, if you're a Star Wars book junkie, absolutely read this. Please do yourself a favor. Pick this up. I don't read it or listen to it. Either way, you're going to enjoy this immensely. There you go. That's my review of Battlefront II Inferno Squad. But that's my thoughts. That's just my thoughts. That's just the start of this discussion. I want to know what you think about this book. If you've read it, go ahead and tell me what you thought about the book. Tell me what you thought about anything that I missed in the book, that you want to talk about that I didn't talk about, that you want to talk about that I did talk about. Just comment down below on anything about this book. And if you want, you can comment down below on what book I should do next. Legends, I can do some Legends books if you want. I'm currently reading Rebel Rising, so I might do that one. I don't know. It's either that one. I probably will do that one next. But yeah, go ahead and tell me what you want in the comment section down below, and tell me how to get better at reviewing. Like if you've got any tips, if you've got anything you wanna know about this book, or if you wanna know about the next book that I review, says anything. Honestly, take suggestions from anybody on how to get better, because that's what I want to do. I want to bring you the best absolute possible content here on this channel. And thank you. And thank you very much for watching this video. And if, like I said before, if you enjoy this and want to see more, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you hit that little bell next to the subscribe button, it'll notify you every time I put up a new video. And thank you for watching this video. May the force be with you always.